Good evening. I'm going to go over the watch list for this week of June 1st, new month. Before I get into the watch list, the market opened down 25 points, but the Fed has repo, so don't be surprised if the market's green at open tomorrow. So we've seen it numerous times where the market gaps down quite a bit, then for it to be green by morning, so don't be surprised if it is. I'm sure the Fed will step in and pump more liquidity into the market like they'll always do. So I'm not going to let the market gap down change my watch list. I'm going to keep it as is because I'm sure something will turn around and something will happen. And market will end up being green. So first on the list is Roku. As you can see, I've got the 30 on the left, hour on the right, and actually 30 minutes on the left, hour in the middle, and the daily on the right. And you can see on the hourly and the 30-minute, you get an inverse head and shoulders. So I would watch Roku over 110 for a push to probably fill. Oh, that's not a gap. I thought that was a gap right there. Yeah, it's no gap. To probably push into the 115s, even get into perhaps even to 117. If it gets any real momentum, this thing can really get going and get over 120. So Roku, I would definitely watch. If there's any strength, it's going to take off. And Roku used to be one of those stocks when it gets a lot of momentum behind it, the thing can make a 10-point move easily. So I definitely would watch it if it does get some momentum behind it. Netflix is the other one. Netflix right here. I mean, you can see that's a cup and handle right there. I'm looking on the hourly, see the cup, the handle right over there. It gets over, I'd say 420, and push to the middle kilt. And if it gets any momentum, and then the market's doing well, you can even see 440. Assuming the market's doing well, this week is going to be very unique in trading because not only we have a pandemic, we have like riots all over the U.S. So we'll have to see how things are going. And a lot of the companies that have just opened up are reclosing again. Like Target is closing down its stores, and a lot of the states where they're having the most riots. And then Apple's closing down some stores. So many will think, okay, because they're closing stores, it's going to go down. Well, Apple's been closed stores back in February, and I think stock still went up. So it doesn't matter if they close the stores. I mean, they'll find a way to somehow go green because they always do. They go against the odds. It's FOMO versus reality. So we'll have to see what happens. When is another one to watch because they're going to open up the casinos next week. Actually, this week, the 4th, unless the chaotic events change that. So I would watch this over, probably 86. It gets over 86, make a run to the 88s, and even get into the 90s. I think that if it gets into the 90s, gets over 90, it can make a run to 100. It depends on the market condition and what happens this week. I would probably be on really on watch for the news and see how things transpire throughout the week. So QCOM is another one I have on my list. QCOM right here. I mean, it's getting ready to break out of this pattern right here. Guess you could say it's sort of a cup and handle, whatever. But if it gets over, let's see, 81.50. Yeah, I would watch for a push over 82. If it gets over 82, it could probably, the next resistance probably right around 85. And I mean, if it gets that, I mean, the gap is very, very tiny. It's like $1 gap, and probably fill a gap if it gets any strength behind QCOM. So I would watch that. BABA is another one. BABA, the same thing. You get this gap right here. I'd like to see it fill the gap. If the market is green, maybe perhaps even test the 215 area. So I would watch BABA on the way up. Now, if for some reason the market is red and BABA sells off, I mean, I will definitely show BABA too. I like playing BABA and BA regardless of the direction because of they're fun to play. TSLA, Tesla. I don't usually like talking about Tesla because I don't play it that much. But I'll I'll bring it up just in case someone in the room wants it. So I mean, it gets over closed at a high a day on Friday. So it gets over 835. I mean, you could test this high right here of 844. It gets over 840. I'm having trouble saying. It gets over 844. The next area is 858 for Tesla, and I mean, it's been consolidating in this range right here. So if it gets any strength, I mean, it's probably going to take off and go to 90. So Tesla's one of those stocks that once it starts getting going, it just, people go crazy. So I would watch Tesla for calls if it gets over that area. BA, of course, you have to talk about BA. I mean, BA, it broke the trend line. It's going up, and it pulled back a little on Friday and Thursday. So it did bounce off the regression trend line here on the hourly. So if it does get over 148, it's going to probably push to 155. So if it does, the market is weak. I mean, I would watch it on the 142 for gap fills down here to 135, even down here to 120, depending on how radical the sell-off is, or the news is, or any other bad news that does come out. And with all these protesting and all these riots going on, that the coronavirus is going to end up escalating really, really fast. There'll be a second wave in the next week or two, and it'll make the first wave look like nothing, because you've got literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people and congested in small, tight areas, and people are just spreading the virus and not even know it. Yeah, they get masks on, but the masks don't help. EOG is another one. It's an oil play, and I'll bring up oil in a minute. If it gets over the, let's see, the 52 area, you can even say the 51 if you want. 51, look for push to get into the 54, and it gets over 54. I mean, it's pretty much already filled the gap, and usually when they fill a gap, they start to sell off. But oil, I'll show you, oil is why can't I type tonight? On the daily, oil's like double topping right here underneath the gap down. So it could fill the gap, I mean, or it could just sell off. So, but if oil breaks out, a lot of the oil stocks are going to take off. So EOG will be one that I would watch. If oil gets strong, that would probably go with it. Facebook. Facebook, I mean, it's got like a descending wedge right here, but if the market's green, Facebook, I would love to see Facebook just take off and retest these 240s again. It'd be, like I said, I keep saying throughout the video, it's going to be about what the market's doing. I still think Facebook will be a $300 stock unless there's like some kind of event that prevents it from going there because of world events or whatever happens. So Facebook, I would definitely watch over the 228 for push to 230 to even get to the 235 area for next week. So Facebook. Apple is the next one. I know I just talked about Apple saying that they're closing stores, and if it does, does fall, I mean, probably dip by right here in the 308s, because every time it gets up to the top of the channel, it comes back to test the middle kill like it did there, and it might even do it here, unless the selling strength is really much. And if that is the case, you could probably revisit 300. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow, where the market opens, and how the news affects it the next couple days, and other things like that. So this whole watch list is going to be nothing. It's really not going to matter if news controls the market. It could be a purely news driven week. So just keep that in mind. Baidu is another one. I mean, Baidu could take off right here over the 107.50 area. You could even say 107. Get over 107 and get into the 109s, and maybe get even to the 110 to 112. But I would not swing by Baidu at all, because they could still close their stores. Sorry, I was reading something. They could still involuntarily remove themselves from NASDAQ or the stock exchange, and I just wouldn't swing it. So I'd be careful. Day trading only on Baidu. UPS. Sorry, I'm watching like two different things at once. UPS. It's getting kind of choppy right in here. It's tested this 100 range like 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. For me, you could say that's 4. So I mean, it gets over 100. I would take it. And for a test of the 105, market's weak. It's probably going to under 98. I'd watch it for a gap fill. So UPS. I mean, most of these plays that I'm talking about on the bullish side right now, you could look at the short side too. So I mean, I would definitely watch UPS if the market's weak under 98 for a gap fill to 91. So for the bearish side, obviously I've got Disney. I mean, Disney is just it's up here on the daily. It just got up over 120, got rejected, and it's like retested this 115 area, 114 area. If the market's weak, which it is right now, and if it opens weak tomorrow, that it's probably going to fill this gap to 110. So definitely watching Disney for a gap fill. Honeywell, same thing, popped up. It having like a little head and shoulders right here in the hourly below 144 for a gap fill to the 140. So I haven't traded that in a little while, so I'm not quite sure what the spread's going to be like. I mean, if it's a volatile week, that could change a lot of these plays too, because if it's very volatile, the spreads will be nasty, and it will be hard to trade because of the spread. So just keep that in mind too. And WeDay, pretty much the same thing. It filled the gap right here on the daily, and if the market's weak, it gets under 178. I would look for a gap fill at 170. On WeDay, and the reason a lot of these is you got divergences going on. So you got a divergence right here, even though it kind of like flattened out between this one and this one, but it's still going on from this peak to that peak. So there is a little bit of divergence, and plus on the weekly, it's got a lot of resistance to the 185. So I definitely would like to see it fill the gap this week. So if the market's weak, everything's going to be dependent on what the market does. So Lowe's is another one. I know Lowe's has been going crazy, but the reason I like it is because every time it gets up over these Keltner channels right here on the weekly, like it is right here and here and here, it sells off big. So I would watch it on the hourly. If it gets below this hourly candle right here of 128, I would short and look for 123 to even the 117 area if the market starts getting starts selling off. So that's going to pretty much do it for the watch list. Just like I said, and I keep saying that most of the stuff that's on the bullish list you can short too. Just beware of the levels and stuff like that. And this week could be tricky because of all the events going on with coronavirus, protests / riots, China, trade deals. I mean, Iran, North Korea. Apparently there's something going on in North Korea that could be like that could pop up and surprise us this week. So there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things going on. So you're gonna have to pay attention to the news and what's going on politically, even though you don't really want to listen to the politics. But if you're trading options, you have to listen to the politics and to understand what is happening to get an idea where things could go. So just keep an eye on the news, and I'm going to leave it at that, and be safe this week. Thanks.